Hi, so it's Tina Brinkley Potts again, and I am here with Gary Hasson. I met Gary in Utah, and I just thought he was a wonderful spirit. When I met him, it was just something about him that was so humble, and I just wanted the opportunity to talk to him because I know Gary is with a new company, has made some changes in his life, and I just think that his story could really help some of the people that visit my site and, some of the other things I have going on. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Tina, and it was a pleasure to get to meet you that first time, and I'm glad we've been able to stay in touch. I've heard so many great things about you and your skill set and the experience you have in social media and entrepreneurship and as an individual, a wonderful person. So we did have a fun time that first meeting, and it's been good staying in touch since.
Absolutely, because that was the first time I went to that burger place, so ever. I've never seen those on the East Coast.
No, we don't do advertising for In-N-Out Burger, but I'm glad we were the first to introduce you to that. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Gary, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I grew up in Southern California, but moved to a farm in Idaho. Was always taught if you went to school, got a good education, worked hard, things will work out great. I don't think I was the only one taught that, was I, Tina?
No, absolutely not.
I don't think my parents were leading me astray, but we know that there's more than just getting good education these days to being successful. In fact, that's not necessarily a requirement anymore. I still believe it's important. I have 3 boys and 3 girls, and I want them to get a great education, but I know that's not going to really determine their success in life. So I enjoyed being an entrepreneur. I had a good job at a major corporation, but fortunately ran into the network marketing profession. It was something that I'd never considered. I have a degree in finance and business, but met some people who were making more money in a month than I was making in a year in the finance department at Novell. And I thought, you know what? I was born at night, but not last night. I'm open-minded. Let's show me what you're doing. And I was always taught if you want to be successful, do what other successful people have done.
Absolutely.
And there's been a book written on just about anything you want to do. If there's something that you really want to do, find someone who's succeeded in that area. Mm-hmm. Find a book, go online, take a course, go to the library. There's no excuses anymore, are there?
No, absolutely no excuses. And you're right. You hit on one of the most important things. There's a lot of different types of education. So just picking up a book, if, like you were saying, if you know something you want to do, if you find someone who's already done it and pick up a book that they're talking about it. Absolutely.
Something funny is I just returned from a 5-country trip in Asia, and we were talking about a mentor, and the gentleman used the word sifu. Or Shifu, I can't remember. And I thought, you mean like Kung Fu Panda? That kind of Shifu? You remember the little, I don't even know what kind of animal it was, but Kung Fu Panda had a mentor in martial arts. Mm-hmm. So it's important to have a mentor, and there's a couple people that have been really good examples in my life, and one was my grandfather. The way he treated my grandmother, he was always a gentleman, never let her hand hit a car door or a door handle. Wow. So that's something I've tried to do, and he's been a great example to me, the way he treated her. I had a professor in college, Stephen R. Covey, wrote The 7 Habits. That book has had more impact on my life, with the exception of maybe the scriptures, and he's been a great mentor of mine. I learned so much from that, and he's still, even though he was a professor of mine in college 25 years ago, he's still a personal professor of mine today. I still study his materials and attend his seminars. He's actually lives not too far from my home, so I've gotten to know him personally. And so there are people that step into our lives that really make a difference, and I'm sure that's been the case for you and the people that you associate with.
Absolutely. I was hoping while I was in Utah to be able to go to the foundation. I wasn't able to, but I'm hoping that that's definitely going to be on my next trip, because I've definitely, read all the books, well, 2 of the books that Stephen Covey has written. So I think that's great.
We will give you a tour. We'll take you around and give you the VIP treatment, Tina.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, Gary, tell me a little bit about when you actually moved from corporate America to network marketing. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, it was a little bit of a transition. Obviously, I wanted to exit. A lot of times people have a misperception in network marketing. I had a very positive perception. Everybody I had associated with in that industry was very successful, was very, there's any business you look at, there's going to be pros and cons. And I looked at, how can I treat this as a business? How can I treat this as a profession? Having gone to, always gone to work at a certain time and been told when I could take my vacations and when to check in, when to check out, I was looking for a little more freedom. And that's probably the biggest challenge people have when they start working for themselves, is their boss is the person they're looking at in the mirror.
Yes.
And sometimes people need accountability and they're not able to hold themselves accountable. Mm-hmm. So I really treated it like a job. I set my own schedule, but, again, this all goes back to Stephen Covey's teachings. I would plan my week out. My wife Melissa and I get together every Sunday night. We plan out our week, and then we kind of backtrack. What are the most important things? Is work the most important? We always hear the saying that on our deathbed, we never wish we spent more time at the office, yet that's where majority of us spend our time. Is we say that's not the most important thing in our life is our work and our job, but that's generally the things that are most important sometimes get set aside, whether that's our family or our faith or whatever it may be. So every Sunday night we get together after we put the kids down. We kind of have a planning session and plan out our week. When do the kids have activities? When do we have our weekly dates? We have to schedule that in, because if we don't, sometimes the weekend comes and we're too busy. And we like to take our dates on a weeknight when we don't have to fight the crowds and wait in line. And so those are just some personal things. And if I have travel or then we schedule that in. Does she have commitments that she needs? She's in a choir. She's actually auditioning for the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. It's a very famous choir, and that's something that's important to her. So we as a family, as her husband and our kids, we support her on Thursday nights. We make sure everything's taken care of so she can go to her choir practice. So those are things that if we don't schedule those, life gets pretty hectic. Yeah. And the things that matter most to us tend to get sacrificed for the things that matter least. So that was really probably helped me the most, Tina, going from an employee to an entrepreneur or a business owner, is really not letting the schedule control you, but you controlling the schedule.
Absolutely. My assistant is funny because I have a new assistant that started with me in January. And now she says, I get a lot of emails from you on Sunday night. And I'm like, yes, because that's when I plan my week. And she's like, wait a minute, I want to be on Sunday night when you start sending those emails. It's like, it's not necessary, but that's just how I plan. So you already know everything I'm going to expect for the next week because that's how I do it. Yep.
That's great.
Yeah, I think that's phenomenal. And, Gary, you touched on a great thing that you're actually scheduling in the things that are important to you, not just your work, but your family. Talk a little bit more about that, because I know your kids are actually involved in a lot of different things too.
Yeah, it's, we all have important things in our life. And, I'm just trying to think, there's a couple roles that I have, and that's one of the things that I like to do is classify my roles. One of them is a father, one of them is a husband. Those are important roles, so I need to set goals. One of the things we do every week is we have an interview with our kids. It's really a one-on-one time. They come into my office. I have an office at my home, and they know that's the time they get to have my undivided attention. And occasionally Melissa will do those interviews, or we'll do them together. We kind of rotate that around. But it's really a time where we sit down with our kids and talk about their goals, and it's a chance for them to say, okay, tell me, how can I be a better father? My daughter's 20 now. I tell her, Alicia, you got to give me a break once in a while. I've never been the father of a 20-year-old. This is first for me. My son's 19. I use the same excuse for him. I said, Lee, I've never been the father of a 19-year-old young man. So how can I do better? And trust me, when I ask how can I do better, they let me know, don't they? But then in return, I let them know what they can do better. How can they help out more around the house? How can they get more focus on their goals? So that's a chance. And trust me, Tina, when we don't have those interviews, my kids, they say, hey, we missed our interview, Dad. What happened? I thought, and it kind of makes me feel bad that now they think they're, not important. They are, but I'm glad that they notice that we didn't have that interview, that I'm not the only one that looks forward to these interviews. And you know what? My oldest daughter, she's the one that keeps me to the schedule. I'll tell you, if we miss one, boy, I hear about it. So those are things that have helped me as a father and a husband to really take that one-on-one time. And there's times when I'm out of town or that's not possible, but I make sure that we get on Skype. The technology today, Tina, I can be on the other end of the world and have. One of the things my family does is we have a family prayer, and we do that in the morning and night. And sometimes technology allows us to do that. Have a family, that's something we do together that keeps we had this saying, a family that prays together stays together. And I don't want to get into religion here, but that's something that's very important to a lot of people. But sometimes we just get so busy that we forget about those things. But I've hoped that some of the things in my personal life carry over into my business life as well. You can't wear two faces, can you, Tina? I mean, some people try it.
Nope.
And I'm a very transparent person. People may not like my style, but it is what it is. I try not to put on a face or, if I say I'm going to do something, then I want to make sure that I do that. If I can't keep a commitment, then I make sure that I don't make that promise. So, and the same holds true with your family. When we make commitments to our kids and we flake out, they remember that, and it's, we have to keep those commitments, even though, and some of the most important commitments, Tina, I believe, are the ones we make to ourselves.
Absolutely.
Those are probably the most important commitments that people break, if they set a goal or they make a commitment. And, I know we've tried to schedule this interview a couple times, and you've been very professional. You've been very, life throws us curves, to have a death in the family like you've had, that's not something that you plan. That's not something you look forward to. But you handled that well, and you and I stayed in touch, and you were able to focus on those things that mattered most. The business can wait. The interviews can wait. Life goes on, and you got to address those things that were most important, to spend time with your family and address those things that needed to be addressed. So you may not realize it, but you've been a good example to me from a distance.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. But, one of the things you just said, I think is so important, that you are open to hear what your children think. How can you do better? Sometimes we don't accept criticism well, whether it's from our children or even our employees or anyone that's looking at what we're doing. And I think you open yourself to hearing how you can be a better father. I think that is such a wonderful thing. Such a wonderful thing, because a lot of people can't accept it.
Yeah, we don't always have to agree with our kids, right? Or they don't have to agree with their parents, but we can agree to disagree. But yeah, I usually have to cut them off when they start giving me too many suggestions. So.
But you still hear it, so that's a great thing. That's a great thing. So Gary, tell me about the new company.
Wow. I've been in the nutritional side of the network marketing industry for 22 years. It's something I'm passionate about. My father passed away at a young age, and I always had a goal to stay healthy and do whatever I could to reduce my risk of getting cancer like my father did at a young age. But I found that, health is still very important to me, but I've also seen that a lot of people are not healthy financially. The economy that has really taken a hit, I don't need to go into detail about that, but a lot of people are waiting for things to get better, and, the economy's not going to come back to the way it was. We have a new economy, and we have to adjust to it. Doesn't mean we have to lower our standards or expectations, but we have to, really, a lot of people including myself, even though I got a degree in finance and business 25 years ago, a lot has changed in the financial markets.
Yes.
So I partnered up with a gentleman I have a lot of respect for, Mr. Glenn Jensen, and we co-founded with several other partners a company called Uprize. Mm-hmm. So instead of marching on Wall Street and setting up tents and protesting, we want to empower the people with knowledge and education about the financial markets, starting with currency trading. That's something that's global. Currencies, everything we do, everything we buy, everything we sell involves currencies. We are a global society, and so many people are naive to the global markets and the currencies. They've kind of been intimidated, and including myself. If I'm not familiar with something, Tina, I tend to stand back and kind of stay away from it, and that's, I think, the way a lot of people dealt with foreign exchange or currency exchange. They just think that it's for the elite, the big institutions, the banks, the governments. It's kind of been reserved for those elites in the past, but now it's available to the masses. You don't need a lot of money to trade currencies, but you do need experience. And that's really what our company is about, is providing the education and training to be able to, if they want to go trade currencies, great. If they just want to be familiar, it's so simple. A lot of people are intimidated by it, but we bring it down to a basic level.
Okay.
Even my teenagers are going through the training. I told them, I said, if you don't learn it now, you will be forced to years from now. It's not something they learn at school. In fact, my son came home and they were talking about a Swiss franc, a different currency in another country. And he said, Dad, I actually knew what they were talking about because I've gone through your training. I said, yes, that's my boy. And it's just something that they need to know that they typically don't learn in school. So that's it. It's been fun. And, we launched about 2 weeks ago, and we're already in about about a dozen countries, and plan to go global quickly. So,
well, with technology being what it is, like you were saying, we are now a global economy, and we should be thinking that our business can be global because we can connect so easy. I do a lot of Skype calls with people that are in Canada, Asia, a lot of different places. Sometimes I'm up in the middle of the night, but that's okay because you really can. So tell me, what kind of a person can be successful at Uprize?
Well, really, they have to have a desire to want to learn. It's not easy. This is not, in the past, I've always been in the supplement nutrition industry. It's pretty easy to open up a bottle of vitamins or open up a bottle of juice or, take a product. This is different. We actually have 12 courses that they go through online. There are also live trainings that they can attend on the internet or live in person. So it's kind of like going back to school, and sometimes when we're adults, we kind of are hesitant to go back to school, to want to learn more. But I've always been a believer in personal development, and if we're not moving forward, we're going backward. There's really no middle ground, and this is something that was kind of out of my comfort zone, but we partnered with some people that have been very successful in this market, developing tools and training materials. So really, if someone has 30 minutes to an hour a day, it doesn't have to be every day, but our goal is to teach somebody with a $2,000 account to generate $100 a day. And I've sat with some of these lead trainers for an hour at a time, and they'll make about 5 to 10 trades in 1 hour, just real quick. It's not something you have to trade all day long. And when they make those trades, they'll make money 7 or 8 out of 10 times, which means what? They're going to lose money 2 or 3 out of 10 times. Absolutely. So people will lose money, but if you can make more money more than you lose, that's the name of currency trading. And our goal is to eliminate the risk so that somebody doesn't this is not something we want someone to mortgage their home or sell their, all their assets to trade current. This is investment income we want them to deal with. If they don't have $2,000, we can teach them how to do that by sharing the product with other people to generate an income. So really what we envision, Tina, is It could be somebody on their commute in Tokyo or Mexico City or New York City, opening up their smartphone, making a few trades on the way to work, and making more money on the way to work than they do at their day job. Or maybe it's the stay-at-home parent who has the kids taking a nap, and they make a few trades, and they may make more money than their spouse does at their job. Or the college kid between classes. Maybe they open up their iPad and make a few trades during their classes and make enough money to, buy groceries that week. It really depends on what somebody's goal is. Our Benjamin formula is what it's called, because, of course, Benjamin Franklin's on the $100 bill.
Absolutely.
Our goal, the Benjamin formula teaches with the goal to have a $2,000 account to generate $100 a day. It may be $100 a week, or in some countries, we were just in Asia, they'd be happy making an extra $100 a month. That would make a huge impact on their lifestyle. And people kind of, turn their nose up at $100 a day. My goodness, that would really make a difference in just about everybody's household here in the wealthiest country in the world, the United States. And $100 may not seem like a lot, but to do that in 30 minutes to an hour or 2 hours, that's pretty phenomenal. So anyways, that's our product and company, and we're just getting started, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
It sounds like it. Why do you think it's important now? I can give you an example that you just made me think of. Last week, I met with a family that was looking for home care services. And what the conversation just took a whole nother route, because the father in the home was just talking about how he has pulled all of his money and put it in this IRA account because of all of the losses that he took, and because the person that was responsible for his retirement fund, he now didn't feel comfortable with them anymore. So I was just thinking he would be an excellent candidate, because now he can learn to take control of that himself.
Absolutely. And I still believe in financial professionals. I mean, my brother's been doing that for 18 years, a financial planner, advisor, and there's still a place for that. But a lot of times we've left that to others and we haven't taken personal responsibility. And that's where I think a lot of people have gotten into trouble. And this is just the beginning. What we envision, Tina, is kind of like Microsoft Office has Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. We'll have different products under the Uprize umbrella. Currency trading it's the largest market in the world, and it's universal. It's every language the platform's translated in. So that's why we start. But we'll have other financial products, and who knows, we may even have a nutrition line down the road. But that's kind of what a lot of us are passionate about. But yes, anybody that is looking to improve their financial situation or just to gain education. A lot of people never got a college education. I was fortunate. My parents instilled in me that. It took me 7 years to get a 4-year degree, but I did it because I had to work to pay for my education. But I'm grateful I did that, and a lot of people didn't have that opportunity. And today, a college education is great, but there are other ways you can gain education and knowledge. It doesn't have to be through a classroom setting, and this allows people to learn at their pace. They don't need to be intimidated. They can we take them really to a preschool level and work their way up. If they come with the knowledge, then we can build upon that knowledge. So it's an amazing product.
Okay. And so if someone is looking to find out more information, what should they do?
Our corporate site is probably the best place to start, and it's just spelled Uprize with a Z, UPRIZE.com. And there's contact information there. If somebody wants information, they can my email is Gary@Uprize, Gary @Uprize, and I'd be glad to point them to wherever they are in the world. We can get them in touch with somebody that can help them get started. So, this technology is amazing, Tina, because you're on the East Coast, I'm here in the Rocky Mountains in Utah, and I feel like we're sitting down, at breakfast, just having a conversation. So it's been fun to spend some time with you. I appreciate your mission and the things that you're doing to help improve other people's lives. You've got a great gift, and it's been a blessing to get to know you better.
Oh, Gary, I appreciate that. But before we go, I just want to ask you one last question. If there's someone out there that is just, stuck right now because of whatever has happened before, and they just feel like they can't get back up, what would you say to them?
A lot of times we hit a wall, or we get discouraged, or, there's so many people that are depressed these days. I think a lot of it has to do with they really don't have something to strive towards. They need to set some new goals. I've had people come to me and say, life's not worth living anymore. And I think, no, you can't say that. That just means that you don't have something that you're excited about, that you're moving forward towards. Mm-hmm. Let's sit down and find out what really excites you, what would get you out of bed in the morning, what really excites you, what are you passionate about. And it's unfortunate. There are a lot of people out there that are discouraged right now, and they're having financial problems or relationship problems or health issues. We all go through that. Mm-hmm. Life was not meant to be easy, mm-hmm. but we can turn to other people for help. We can turn to friends and family. We can turn to a higher source. There are a lot of things that we can turn to, but really, there's a lot to be excited about. There's a lot to be hopeful about. And as difficult as times are right now, we can change it pretty quickly. I always hear people complain about where they live. I say, well, you're not a tree. Pick up your roots and go somewhere where you want to be. I live in the mountains because I love it here. I grew up in California. I didn't like the traffic, so we left, Mm-hmm. We have those freedoms in America that we just take for granted, and freedom is something that if somebody's down and discouraged, just realize if you're in the United States or wherever you may be watching this, you have freedoms that are a great gift. Take advantage of it. Find something you get passionate about, and stay tuned with Miss Tina Potts, and you will have a lot to learn and a lot to be excited about. So Tina, thanks again. I hope we get a chance to do this again in the future, and that we'll get to do a lot together.
Thank you, Gary. I look forward to watching everything that's happening at Uprize, and definitely coming back to Utah because I'm looking forward to that tour.
We will. Thanks, Tina. Have a great week.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.